Greetings, my dear viewers. Welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Character Conversion. I am your host, Drahon, and today we are taking a look at the Star Trek franchise. Now, I grew up with a lot of spacefaring TV series. Star Wars, Stargate, and yes, I did grow up watching some Star Trek, but not as much as Star Wars and Stargate. In fact, I've only really seen the newer Star Trek stuff. Minus the Below Deck series. That looks dumb. I am pretty sure the people who made Teen Titans Go drew that. It's horrendous. And from what I've seen, it looks like a mockery of Star Trek. Anyway, not the point of today's video. I haven't really watched much of Star Trek. So, today's character conversion is going to be mostly off of the research that I do, partially off of what I do know from the newer movies. And speaking of Stargate, I do have plans on doing Teal'c, one of the main characters from Stargate SG-1. I mean, he just looks like a Dungeons & Dragons character, so yeah, I'm going to be making sure to do him in a future video. So stay tuned if you are a fan of Stargate. Anyway, that's not the point. We are looking at one of the two main protagonists of the Star Trek franchise, Spock. Alright, so Spock. I mean, it's only logical that we do Spock. What was that?
That was the, drum and signal. The ba-doom ching. Goes the joke.
Oh, right. Yes, funny. That's one of Spock's lines. It's only logical. Ha ha. Anyway. For Spock, I thought that the best stats using the point-buy system would be the following. Strength, Constitution, and Charisma each at 10. Wisdom at 11. And Dexterity and Intelligence at 15. Now, we have Wisdom at 11 because while he is very much intelligent, his street smarts, as Wisdom is usually called, is a little lackluster. Same with his charisma. While he is sort of diplomatic, and we'll get into that a little bit later, he isn't really charismatic. He's kind of stone-faced. Expressionless most of the time, except for when his emotions get the better of him. And we'll explain why here in a moment. Actually, we'll explain it now. And Spock is what is known as a Vulcan, but him specifically is only half Vulcan. His mother is a human, or was a human, depending on which version of the Star Trek series you're going off of. Either way, he is half Vulcan, half human. And the closest race I can find to the Vulcan are Astral Elves, which were just released in the Spelljammer setting. I almost went with Gith. However, the Gith specifically are stated to be modified by their slavers, the Mind Flayers. And the Vulcan really never had that problem. They're just there. And because of their high and mighty status, it made sense to go with an elf. So for Spock being a half-elf, more specifically a half-astral elf, made sense. Since this is the half-elf, we get a +2 to one of our stats. We'll go with intelligence. And a +1 to 2 of our stats, dexterity and wisdom. We get a speed of 30 feet, dark vision for 60 feet, Fey ancestry, and 2 skills of our choice. We'll go with history and perception just because. Now, if your dungeon master allowed it, I would say grab one of the astral elf features that made the most sense to have and replace it with the skill proficiencies, as you do with the half-elf variant. But we're not doing that for this video, because that's a little homebrewy there. Anyway, for our background, we're going with the Astral Drifter. I was originally going to go with the Wild Spacer, much like I did with Master Chief in the last video. However, there was one key part of the lore of Spock that made me choose Astral Drifter instead. And that is the fact that, according to the old series, Spock had encountered a being known as the Red Angel, or at least that's what he called it. I don't recall exactly what this entity is, but it is an entity nonetheless that he had encountered. So, the Astral Drifter's divine contact, be in contact with some sort of god or other celestial body, made the most sense. And thanks to this divine contact feature, you get the Magic Initiate feat with cleric spells. For your cantrips, I would recommend grabbing Mending and Guidance, as well as the first level spell Cure Wounds. As an Astral Drifter, you get skill proficiencies in Insight and Religion, as well as 2 languages of your choice. Moving on to our classes, we have the Artificer to start things off with. Now, according to the old series, and this probably works with the new series as well, Spock had decided that he wanted to be a science officer. So it makes sense to have Artificer as his primary class. This will give us a D8 hit die. We don't really have any constitution, so that's only 8 hit points to start off with. So you're a bit squishy. You get armor proficiencies in light, medium, and shields, weapons, simple, martial, and the optional firearms, which, honestly, it shouldn't be optional at this point since we are talking about Spelljammer. Tools, you'll get tool proficiencies in Thieves' Tools and Tinker's Tools, proficiency in Constitution and Intelligence saving throws, as well as skills in Arcana and Medicine. You get the magical tinkering feature and spellcasting using your intelligence modifier. At second level Artificer, you get Infuse Item. Now, we're going to go ahead and go into a multi-class, and that will be into Rogue. And that is, well, that's just because of how rogues would work in a Star Trek setting. They are sort of the intelligence. Kind of like an HR representative almost. Or being able to work a Spelljammer. Not exactly steer it, of course. But it definitely helps to be a rogue, and more specifically a certain type of rogue, which we will be getting into shortly. You get a bonus proficiency in the investigation skill. Your expertise will be in history and investigation. You also get sneak attack and thieves' cant. We get the cunning action feature at second level rogue, And now for our roguish archetype at 3rd level, we're going to go with the Inquisitive. We get the ear for deceit, eye for detail, and insightful fighting. And just for being a 3rd level rogue, we also get steady aim. And this is actually why I wanted to go with the Inquisitive rogue. It's because that's pretty much what Spock is. That's what he's always has been, especially when he has been on the Enterprise. He's just there. He's a delegator. He sees things that we should be able to see. Be able to, well, delegate. He's kind of a diplomat, but not entirely. So it kind of helps to know all the details that you're needing. He's sort of perceptive like that. While emotions aren't really his forte, being able to spot certain details is. Moving on to level 4 rogue, we're going to grab the feat Observant. This will increase our intelligence to an 18, give us the ability to read lips, and we get a +5 to our passive perception and passive investigation skills, allowing us to see more. An incoming attack, be able to see someone hiding from us, stuff like that. Moving on to level 5 rogue, we'll get the Uncanny Dodge. Level 3 Artificer is next, and I was hoping I wouldn't have to choose an Artificer specialist, because it's rather difficult for Spock. There's not really much in that regard that would point from one specialist to another. But I think going with the Artillerist might be the best bet. While we don't see Spock use blasters that much, it still comes up every now and again. And when it comes to these blasters for the Artillerist, they use sticks, mostly. And, well, one of the main sayings in the Star Trek universe is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And Spock says this a couple of times in the franchise, old and new. This is actually, if you've seen game theory, you probably already know this little theory, but that's one of the main arguments in fascism. And they actually say another one of these sayings of fascism in the Star Trek series. One of the newer movies, in fact, I believe it was in Star Trek Beyond, they use the example of one stick alone is easy to break, but a bundle of sticks is difficult to break. So, yeah, it's kind of a reference to that. The one stick versus a bundle of sticks mentality. So, loose reference plus Spelljammer reference. I'm doing the best I can with Spock and Artificers. It's just hard. Anyway, with the Artillerist, we get tool proficiency in Woodcarver's tools, Artillerist spells in Shield and Thunder Wave, and we get an Eldritch Cannon. As a 3rd level Artificer, we also get the right tool for the job. Create whatever tool we need, and we are automatically proficient in that tool. Level 6 Rogues get Expertise once again, so we'll go ahead and grab Perception and Arcana. Level 7 Rogues get the ability Evasion. 8th level Rogues gets an ability score improvement. Go ahead and increase your Charisma by 2 points. This should help with any diplomatic needs. 9th level Rogue gets Steady Eye from the Inquisitive subclass. 10th level Rogues gets an ability score improvement. Go ahead and increase your Dexterity to an 18. Makes things a little bit more accurate when we are firing our ranged weapons. 4th level Artificer gets an ability score improvement. Go ahead and increase your Intelligence to 20, its maximum capacity. At 11th level Rogue, we get the Reliable Talent feature. Level 5 Artificer gets Arcane Firearm from the Artillerist subclass, and our Artillerist spells now have Scorching Ray and Shatter. 6th level Artificers, my apologies, get Tool Expertise. Double the proficiency bonus to any rolls we use for tools. 7th level Artificer gets a Flash of Genius. 12th level Rogue gets an ability score improvement. Max out your dexterity at 20. And finally, 8th level Artificer gets an ability score improvement, but we are going with the feat Sharpshooter instead, allowing us to get more damage on our ranged weapons. And that is the end of the build, but not the end of this video, as we have spells to go over. For recommended spells, I would suggest the following. Cantrips would be Message and Shocking Grasp. First level spells, Grease, Identify, Purify Food and Drink. There have been a couple of instances where there has been poisons and diseases in their food, so having that would probably be the best. Sanctuary and Snare are also pretty good spells that would help the Enterprise out in a pinch. Second level spells would be Aid, Enhance Ability, Heat Metal, and Lesser Restoration. And with that, that is all I have for you today, my dear viewers. I do hope that you enjoyed. Until next time, this has been Drayhon, and I hope to see you next time. I am offline.